you had 2 or 3 questions that you wanted to start off with. We might want to go in that direction.
Okay,
So
perfect.
you can get the questions out of the way, and it normally leads to a dialogue. And,
Yep. Perfect. Thank you, Herb. Yeah, so I'll start then with the very beginning, because I think Martin asked a really great question. Martin asked, when you first got started and you made the switch, or actually, Martin, let me just turn it over to you. Let me let you ask the question. Martin, go ahead and ask.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Good deal. Thanks. Herb, thanks for jumping on. My question was around some of the internal work that you did. Melissa has shared that you were a police officer, I believe, previously. So much of the information to do with isogenics I can get by hitting play. So my question to you is around the internal work that you did. What caused you to say, okay, that's it. I'm done with this previous life. I'm now moving in this direction. That, there's a mental conversation. There's an inside voice that we all have, that inner dialogue. What was your inner dialogue at that point where you're like, that's it, I'm done with this, I'm all in 100% moving in this direction? I would love to hear that, some insight around that from you. That would be really helpful.
Martin, that's a great question, but you got to understand there's 2 different points to that dialogue. The point was when we were originally introduced to the industry as a whole. That was around 30 years ago. I was working full-time as a New York State trooper. It was with another company, but in retrospect, because I can kind of shorten the learning curve, what I found out is that what I fell in love with was networking. I fell in love with the fact that you can initiate a production curve, and there are companies willing to track the production for you. So that's what I fell in love with. Unfortunately, 30 years ago, it was with other types of networking type of companies that I call, and many people call, multi-level marketing companies. And this was a traditional multi-level marketing company. But those kind of, opportunities of those companies really don't show their true colors until you've invested 3, 4, 5 years into the program, because it takes that much time to build up and for it to rewind again. And so right around our 3rd year, we started doing relatively well, and we thought it was going to, become like what Isogenics is today. And so I resigned from the New York State Police because I started to realize that, man, if this is what, I'm an all or nothing person, Martin. And if this is going to be something that's going to be for real, I'm all in. I'm resigning. I resigned from the state police. And there was a euphoric feeling about doing that, being able to escape the rat race and the 9 to 5, and having somebody else having control over my life, especially if it was a political organization or, the state of New York. And so I felt liberated, but it wasn't even 24 months after I resigned that I started to see the signs of that going backwards. And we were young, in our mid-20s, and I didn't know what was going on. Maybe I thought we weren't working hard enough, and so we started to work harder. And it seemed like the harder we worked, the faster it went backwards. And it got to such a point of stress. And, I told my wife, I said, you know what, babe, in this industry, we hear all these stories of people going from rags to riches. We're going to be one of the first people going from riches to rags, because we're going backwards and almost uncontrollably. And so it came a point in time after trying to work it and trying to build it back up. And imagine a young, back in 1988, 89, a young middle of their 20s couple making, $10,000, $15,000 a month was good money back then. But when it started to slide back to 8,000, then the 5,000, then the 3,000 a month, then the 2,000 a month, and then some months even less than that, and your debt ceiling had, elevated because we were young and we were foolish. We didn't know too much what we were doing back then. Sometimes I question if we know what we're doing now, but it's made it a little bit easier. But it got to the point where our debt load was so much that I had to declare bankruptcy. And once that bankruptcy was declared, there was also a liberating feeling that occurred then. It's just like, I'm never going to make this mistake again. I fell in love with the networking aspect of this business, but this multi-level marketing stuff, you know, until people experience it, they don't know it. And there are a lot of people in isogenics who have never experienced it, and they never will, because we're not multi-level. What I mean by that is many of these companies set up their compensation plans based on levels and generations that you have to qualify for in order to be paid down a certain amount of generations and levels. I had friends today on the phone with some people from Melaleuca who were ambushing my friends, trying to tell them how good Melaleuca was. Tell them I only get paid down 7 generations of leaders. Oh yeah, but you can go as wide as you want. Garbage. That's it's an attempt to brainwash people. And so, look, I got good friends that are in Melaleuca. I can tell you that they're brainwashed. They've been in for 25 years. They're not even making 40, 50 grand a month, which, you know, decent money, but after 25 years, if you're not making that type of money in this industry, you're probably not with the right company. And they're trying to tell me that they have space for me when I'm ready to pull the trigger to come join them. It's the funniest thing. I mean, it really is. And I try to tell them in a nice way without sounding arrogant. I'm like, do you realize we're making over $250,000 a month? Like, do you realize that? Do you realize we've been in this program 1/3 the time that you've been in your company? They don't get it. And so how can you classify it? You classify it as being brainwashed. So back to your question, back then I resigned because I fell in love with networking until I started to realize after I resigned a few years that multi-level marketing wasn't the aspect of networking that I really wanted to pursue. Which, Martin, I can elaborate on that a little bit also if you want me to. We started to realize, man, you know, when you fall in love with something, I don't think you can ever fall out in love with it. There's something in your heart to just, like when I declared bankruptcy and walked away from that company, I was like somebody ripped my heart out. Like I was that passionate about it, but I knew that wasn't it. And so we went to the drawing table and we started to figure out, in the perfect world, and there's no perfect world, what would we be looking for? And so that's where we came up with those 5 criteria. Melissa, I'm sure you went through it with them. The company, the product line, the compensation plan, the training, support, and timing, which I can talk hours about each topic. But we really boiled it down to those 5 things. And we knew if we found a company that scored a perfect 10 in those categories, you know, we would be onto something. But the truth is we investigated thousands of companies that never scored a perfect 10 and started to realize or think in our lifetime we would never come across them because they're rare, they're seldom. Rarely do you find a networking company that has no generational restrictive activity on its compensation plan that becomes a legacy company. You look at the legacy companies globally in network marketing right now, the legacy companies are all multi-level marketing companies. So we're new on the scene and we're different because we've removed all the generational restrictive activities. But where those legacy companies, the average age is about 60 years old, we're 15. And we will be in the top 10 networking companies on the planet in the next 36 years. So we're definitely making we're setting new precedents of what the possibilities are utilizing word of mouth.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Herb. Awesome. Great. So did that answer your question, Martin?
It does. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, great. I'm sure from the beginning too, Herb, Patty probably wanted to get you out of that state trooper uniform and off the street. Like I would be terrified for my husband to be a trooper every single day. That would be enough for me to start pursuing it as something different as a source of income. Just putting your life on the line every single day. Awesome. Okay, so another question that came out was as far as where you're prospecting right now, where are you seeing the most success? With all the different types of prospects that are out there. I know you spoke on a call the other day around the stay-at-home mom, but where as they're initiating their initial business, if you could guide them to where there's tremendous success from potential prospect type. The question was, do you have a type that you think there's most success that you can initiate with your business?
Yeah. Yes, I do. It'll all boil back down to, I just like the stay-at-home moms. I like the professional women like yourself, Melissa, who may have children, start to realize that they, perhaps don't have the time to enjoy their children that they really would like to have. Women, I found, have been proven to be a bit better at multitasking than men. Just the way God made you guys. So, and think about this for a second. You have these people going after gyms. I'm going to go after these trainers. I'm like, do you realize the red tape and the corporate ladder that has to be climbed just to make a decision to use these products? To get them into the gym, to allow it to happen. But if you get folks that get together every single day, when their kids are cool, or when the toddlers can play together, they start talking and they say, hey, I'm going to do this one. Do it with me? Yeah, I'm in. Here's my credit card. There's no red tape. There's no bureaucracy that needs to be battled in order for these people to make a decision. That's why I say the housewives. They're very well connected. Normally, they're very smart. And a lot of times they want to build something. I've seen so many examples. Melissa, I've seen so many examples of housewives who, they've been housewives their whole lives. Their husbands have been the breadwinners of the family. And it's not because they couldn't, and it's not because their husbands are holding them down. It's just the way it is. I mean, they have families, they're doing what's right in their heart to take care of their kids and stuff like that. But many times they want to have conversations with adults. They want to have adult conversation and build something, even if it's from the comforts of their home, that that they can be proud of. The statistics are overwhelming. I mean, I listened to a news report the other day saying that I think it was 1/3 of all Americans are freelance right now. 1/3 of all tax-paying Americans. 1/3 of all tax-paying Americans are freelance, and it's predicted by, I think they said 2020 or 2022. 50%, 1 out of every 2 tax-paying citizens are going to be freelance, working for themselves, entrepreneurial. And so we're seeing a shift, guys. We're seeing a shift where, what really, of all of us that are on this call right now, what's a better alternative? Mm-hmm. I'm all in.
Absolutely.
Tell me what the better alternative is where you can make as much money as we're talking about. And it's not a guarantee that everybody's going to make it. It takes a lot of hard work and effort. Listen, look at how much hard work and effort you're putting into it. And that's why I love you. I see it. I realize, although we may not talk about it every single day, trust me, I know it's working. And I know who has the influence and the credibility. And so it takes a lot of work. But, you could be doing what you were doing with your other company, or you could be doing it for something else. But it will show the returns that this will show. And once this is built, and here's the beauty of the whole thing, guys, you can walk away from it. You can walk away from it, and the income's not going to stop. In fact, it's probably going to continue to grow. Patty and I can walk away, and you can never see our face again, and we'll be just fine financially for the rest of our lives. Just fine.
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty amazing.
Real amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that you can will your positions too. I don't know if some of the newer folks on the line know this. Right before I gave birth to my last child, we made sure we had that in the will. With my corporate career, it was a great paying job, but if I were to die, or when I was out on maternity leave after 6 weeks, I didn't get a paycheck. And while I was on maternity leave, some of my biggest paychecks for Isogenics came through while I wasn't being paid at all from my corporate job. And it was during a time when I didn't enroll a single person. It was all residual income on the back end.
I'm going to correct you on something. It's not if you are to die. You're going to die.
Right. Right.
Just like I am.
Right.
Just like everybody else is.
Right. Right.
It's a sobering thought. But we have almost a fiduciary responsibility to teach this. We really have a responsibility to empower people. I was at dinner just a little while ago. That's why I was raising home. Renee could tell you about the. Well, you were on the thread.
Yeah.
During dinner, I had myself, Patty, my 18-year-old daughter, my 16-year-old son, my 13-year-old daughter, and a friend of my son's came to dinner with us. And a lot of the conversation was about this business. My son's asking me, because he's not in yet. He's like, well, what happens when you put people on this leg versus this leg? Is there an advantage? I'm like, depends on how you find advantage, but not really. Everybody has to build two legs. I mean, but how did you guys come in? He says, I'm like, we came on a leg where our roller wasn't active. And he put us on a focus leg because we told him he should put us where he needs us. We were that confident because we knew what we were going to do. Just told him, put us where you're going to need us. And then we went out and we weren't counting on anything for him to do. And he was asking questions like, yeah, but is there an advantage of new people coming in on this leg, this team leg, versus this focus leg? Or should I want to come? And so I stopped him, 16 years old. And I said, are you asking me these questions because you want a position now? And he says, yes, I do. With the exception of 13-year-old daughter, they'll have positions. But it's nice that, like you're going to, there's enough where I can teach my kids, my family, and they can teach their kids how to never. Mm-hmm. My son asked me, so do you? And I said, absolutely not. It's more like they work for us. They work for us. They understand the importance of us because it's us that generates the activity in the field. So right. People got to get the right. Work for Isogenics? No, Isogenics works for me. I'm a field associate, and they do all the fulfillment of all the business I bring to them, and they just pay me for
that. Yep. That's great. I love it. I'm hearing you. You're coming. You're fuzzy here and there a little bit, but I'm hearing you. I don't know if my connection is bad or if your connection is bad.
I had a little microphone thing.
But we haven't missed anything you've said. You're just a little fuzzy. Okay.
The video is fuzzy or my sound?
Well, your video is a little fuzzy and your sound was lagging a little bit, but I can see you and hear you now. What about for everybody else? I got some messages in chat that you were a little fuzzy.
The video sound, okay. When they were saying a little fuzzy, the video looks fuzzy on my end too.
Okay.
That's good. It hides all the blemishes that I may have.
Yeah, no, it's good though. We can hear you. Okay, so this is good. This is good conversation. So another question I had was, so we've got somebody who's having their very first business opportunity conversation. Folks, so we've got some folks on the line who've been doing a lot of leading with the product and kind of been cleanse coaches and a lot of product opportunity, and they've got their very first financial opportunity calls this week. Leading with the business. They've talked big about the business, and now they finally got someone to take a listen. And they want to know any pearls of wisdom on any key nuggets that need to be discussed in that first conversation about the financial opportunity.
Yeah, you have to tell them that there is one. Yeah. When you say people are bringing in people as far as the business, I'm like, really? I'm like, I've been in for 10 years, and normally it always boils back down to people saying, well, let me try the products first to see how they work.
Yeah.
And so the reality is you might think you're bringing people in for the business, but they're really not going to do much of anything until they see how the product works. Yeah. Maybe there may be a rare exception to that rule, but it's definitely not going to be the rule. Just let them know that once you realize that the products are unbelievable, and if you stay committed and you're willing to reach your goals, you're going to want to share this with other people. And let me tell you something. We're like one of the only companies in North America doing networking right now that's on a growth mode. All the rest of the companies that are growing annually, most of them are growing outside the United States. And so Isogenics is one of the only companies really in the United States that continues to grow right now, which means we're entering into a momentum cycle of development. When we hit that momentum cycle of development, we'll go from $1 billion to $3 billion a year. Probably take us 60 months. I think it's going to take about 60 months to do that. But still, I mean, think about it. It's taken 15 years to get to $1 billion a year.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that we can do $3 billion a year in the next 60 months.
Yeah.
We could triple what's taken 15 years to do in 1/3 of the time. And so you start to talk like that to people, and they start to get it. Maybe you're pushing some type of subconscious buttons by just telling them what you're visualizing, and what you can be a visionary, obviously. Where you're visualizing the company will go over the course of the next 60 months. We've been doing it. Patty and I have been forecasting the growth of Isogenics and the happenings of Isogenics for 10 years now. I don't think we've missed out on anything. I think everything that we said came to fruition.
And do you think some of what portion of that do you think is going to be contributed to the continued international expansion versus the contribution in the U.S.?
I think the vast majority of it is going to be United States based. I think you might pick up 200. But it depends on what countries they go into. You might pick up, well, if they go into Japan in the next 5 years, that can contribute another 200. So you might pick up 200 to 400 million annually through international expansion in the next 60 months.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, and I got one other question for you. That I wanted to ask, and this is really for getting started for the brand new people, for the guys on the line who've gotten their pack in the past 30 days and the products are working for them, they're feeling good, and they want to run with this and they want to build a phenomenal business, and they want to max out the compensation plan. Your advice to them, the top 3 things that they should focus on in the first 30 days of initiating their business to be successful?
I could boil it down to, 3 things. Number 1, everybody you bring in with an ultimate pack.
Yep.
Number 2, make an attempt to bring in at least 3 to 5 people a week. Number 3, and this is the big one, you'll love this, Melissa. Stay focused on PIB.
Yep.
You stay focused on PIBs. Don't worry about all the rest of the aspects of the compensation plan. We'll teach you how to max it out. You need to stay excited and focused on the creation of PIBs. Because if you can stay excited and focused on the creation of PIBs, it doesn't matter what leg you put these people on. So we can teach you a concept that we use that we know works.
Absolutely.
So those are the 3 things.
So, and for the new folks on the line, in case you haven't heard the word PIB, hopefully you have, but it's the product introductory bonus. So those are the bonuses you get up front when you introduce people to the product. You get $150 for an ultimate pack. If you do 2 ultimate packs in 1 week, you're going to get $300 for the 2 ultimate packs that you bring in a week. So.
And you guys should continue to do calls like this. I mean, because you get these guys that may have guy friends who are married that maybe want to introduce their wives to, and that's definitely a way to go.
Right.
So get them to come back on a call like this and continue to do this, maybe even once a week, and start to build it up. Because every guy in this phone can say, look, I've got something that I came across. I can't promise you anything. I don't know where you are in your life and the drama that's happening in your life. Matter of fact, I don't even know if you'll recognize this the way that I do, but I think you will. I've met some people who are making a few $1,000 a week to up to $60,000 a week right now. And I want to have you come and join us to listen to what's going on. I'm excited about it. I'm going to do it with or without you. You might as well jump on board.
Awesome.
And start introducing people like that. You don't have to have success.
Yeah.
Because there's enough success going on right now with the people who are on this line that can validate the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Herb. I know we're getting close to 10. I'll ask for any final remarks that you want to address or share with the guys on the line, just since we have the captive audience.
Yeah, no, when I came on, I was thinking, what can I tell people? And it's hard. It's a very hard task to come on and meet some people that you don't know, maybe don't know you, and express to them without feeling like you're trying to sell them on anything, that what you've got is real. And so I just hope somehow you guys do enough due diligence to, hey, you want to come visit me to see it's real? You're more than welcome. We'll have coffee. I like espresso in the morning. Come on over. You'll see it's real. The one decision you'll have to make is, are you willing to engage and pay the price? And when I say pay the price, you're going to pay the price. Nothing worthwhile is going to come easy. There'll be days where you're like, and there'll be other days where you'll be on cloud 9.
Yep.
I'm telling you, you can just enroll 2 people a week with an ultimate pack, you're going to be on cloud 9. Just trust me on that. And it's not difficult to do. So sometimes, these huge businesses that you look at today, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like, how can I do that? I don't even know if it's even possible. Well, yeah, it's hard to think like that. But if you just say, let's break this down and figure out what they did or what I can do right now to show results that I'll build upon result over 24 months, 36 months, 60 months. I promise you, if you engage in that process we just talked about, those 3 steps, you can out-earn us.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. So just reiterating, so leading with the ultimate pack, enrolling 3 to 5 people a week, and staying focused on the PIB. I think that's incredible. That's incredible advice.
Yep.
Don't
worry about anything else in the compensation plan. Just stay focused on the PIBs.
Yes.
When the time comes to shift your focus, I'm sure Melissa's going to let you know when to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. We really appreciate this, Herb. I know it's late and you had to leave dinner to do this, and I just really appreciate your time. And I'll tell you, when Herb says he'll offer some espresso with you at his house one day, he probably would. It's funny. I'll tell you this really quick, and we can wrap up. But Jessica Johnston and I did a 3-way call with the big prospect in Mexico last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? It was like top income earner for another company. She was offering up to play golf with you and her in your neighborhood.
I try to tell these people, you might want to ask me first to make sure I'm going to be in town.
Yeah. So we really are one big family, whether Herb wants it to be or not. His house was being opened up. Well, thank you very much, Herb. I appreciate it tremendously. I know the guys and everyone on the line really appreciate your time. And everybody, obviously, stay plugged into Herb's calls Monday through Friday. Tremendous information to get from his team from 8:30 to 9 o'clock every single day. You can hear some brilliancy from the HerbCepeda team. So thank you very much, Herb.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
My pleasure.